President.
Okay. All right, Lieutenant Governor, we can't see you. I'm not sure if your camera is on or off or just having an issue, but I will get started. We are going to return to Jose G LaPorte. We have his niece, Sandra Vasquez, who is here in support, and I believe she has a few things to say, and then you can ask questions.
You guys hear me?
We can. Go ahead.
I apologize, dear committee members of the board, for my technical difficulties. This moment has long been awaited for. I'm basically one of my uncle's biggest supporters. I'll just give you a little bit of history. I'm sure you guys have gone through all the paperwork and all the letters, support letters that I've provided from family, friends, and myself. I hope I'm very sentimental, so I apologize if I throw out a tear or two. But I was 10 years old when my uncle was incarcerated, and I grew up with him. I was born in Puerto Rico, so I grew up with all my aunts and uncles. We had a very strong hold family, a lot of love, respect, integrity. We know right from wrong. And when this occurred, again, I was very young. My mother was one of his biggest supporters when he was incarcerated. We would take the 6-hour trip to go visit him, make sure we were there. I remember in those early years, we were able to have meals with him and everything like that. Things have changed throughout these years. When he was moved to Graterford, which was closer for us, even though we lived in New Jersey, we went to visit him, and again kept on with the support. I wholeheartedly, from my perspective, I think with what he went through, I ended up becoming a compliance officer. Even though I'm not on the criminal side or anything like that, I'm on the financial side. But from a regulatory perspective, again, that's a huge thing for me: integrity, knowing right from wrong, following rules and regulations. And I knew my uncle didn't have a backbone in his body. I, on behalf of him, am truly remorseful for what happened. I've read through his case documents and everything like that in detail with everything that occurred. I lost my father when I was 6 with something similar that happened. He was shot in the leg, and he was trying to sort of not save, but trying to help a friend, and he ended up passing away he basically bled to death. It was a mortal shot, and it was very inconvenient. I went through a lot of pain, but I learned how to forgive. And unfortunately, circumstances, sometimes they just don't work on your behalf. I don't know if you know where I'm coming from, but anyway, I did go through all his paperwork, in communication with my uncle, constant, all these years. I am 48. I will be 49 this year in December, and this is how strongly I believe that my uncle, is wholeheartedly remorseful. He would have handled things a lot differently back then. Knowing what he went through, he's never had a criminal background. If he did, I'm so sorry if my picture's shaking. My hand is shaking, and I'm holding my phone. But I wholeheartedly believe that, he deserves this opportunity to join us back in society. And I know he was a very helpful, he was very helpful with the family and friends back then. And I know he'll continue the same thing if you guys give him the opportunity to join us, his family and friends back in society. From a support perspective, I could support him wholeheartedly. He could live with me. He could, wherever he if he is afforded with the opportunity to join us, he has full support from his family. We are all over the place. I recently moved a couple years ago from New Jersey to Florida, but I still have my family up in New Jersey. I still go visit them. I have family in Philadelphia, South Jersey, Central Jersey, wherever, if he's afforded with the opportunity to join us, he will have full support. I think in my letter, I have it here too, which was one of my last letters that I submitted in September. I did have like a plan A and plan B. I don't know if you were able to review it accordingly. You know I didn't provide as much detail, but this is, for the most part, he's in his late 60s. He has high blood pressure. He's had open heart surgery. He actually went through COVID, and thank the Lord that he survived. When that happened, his one of his sisters, my oldest aunt, Esperanza Lely Becker, she ended up passing. So it was very hard, but the fact that he was given the opportunity to survive the COVID disease, I feel like it's a sign. And Pastor Lugo helped me give my uncle the news, and it was very hard. So I sincerely, please give him that opportunity. I know he doesn't have a backbone in his body, and he is very remorseful of what happened. And I do feel for the family that lost their son, uncle, cousin, whatever it may be. But I hope my words touch you, and I hope you read through all the support letters, and I wholeheartedly believe that, if everything, from your perspective, because I know you all have your own views and recommendations depending on things or facts that you may have that I may not have, but I hope that you do afford him the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Ms. Vasquez. Do any of the board members have any questions?
I do not. Thank you for your presence.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your testimony, Ms. Vasquez.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. My pleasure.
Mr. Ollinger, did you have something to add?
I just wanted to add some additional information from the discussion yesterday at the interviews regarding Mr. LaPorte's change in whether he was supported by the institution from 2017 when he was not, and I was able to find some information on that. So I just wanted to update the board. In June 24th of 2020, Norma Hicks, a drug and alcohol specialist supervisor, had reviewed all his paperwork, and I'm reading from an ICAR note. She reviewed all the paperwork and the programs that he was to take, and she found no data suggesting that the additional drug and alcohol treatment, the TC in that case, was needed at that time. So it was removed from his program plan, and he was on a waiting list for that. But because it was removed with the thought that he did not need it at that time, he had no opportunity to take that program. So that's why he did not take it. So that was not his choice. That was the decision of the Department of Corrections. And that's why he got full support, I believe, because he completed all his programs in the most recent review for this current commutation interview.
Thank you very much. Any board members have any questions for Mr. Ollinger?
I do not. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. The next case we're going to hear is Ronald J. Connolly. We still have DSCS Clark and CCPM Ollinger on Mr. Connolly's behalf. And then we also have Colonel John McGeehan in support, who is Mr. Connolly's brother. So if any board members have any questions for the DOC reps about Mr. Connolly, we can go ahead.
I don't have any questions.
I don't have any questions either. Thank you.
Great. And so any other board members have questions?
I have no questions.
No, wonderful. Okay, we do have Colonel John McGeehan, who is Mr. Connolly's brother, for support. He was having technical difficulties, so he's going to be in on the phone. Just let us know if you can't hear him. Colonel McGeehan, you can go ahead.
Good morning. This is John McGeehan, Colonel McGeehan, United States Army Special Forces retired, and I'm glad to be a part of this meeting. I literally have blood into the meeting because of my brother, so I'm looking forward to any questions you have that I can give you some kind of answer that is sophisticated enough to be able to put my brother in the right spot, in the right target area to be able to leave the prison system. So good morning. Any questions? Please continue.
Good morning, sir. I don't have any questions. This
I
is
have no
more.
question. Yeah, thank you. I have no questions either.
I have no questions. No
I do have a question. May I ask you is, if my brother does get out of prison within 51 years, will you consider that being a max out period of prison? So he would have a probation officer if he didn't, or being maxed out, he would not. I'm not sure if I understand that completely. And I'm sorry if I'm a little shy
Okay.
on the answer to that.
Yep, sir. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and make sure we're in contact with you to let you know after the results how that works.
Okay.
But thank you so much. We really appreciate your time, Colonel. I'm gonna go ahead and give you. Go ahead. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. We can move on to the next case, which is Mr. James R. Jackson. We have Representatives Lauren Smith and Rachel Lopez, and then we also have Mr. Robert Ward here to speak in support. Mr. Ward, good morning, good afternoon. I'm not sure what it is right now. Good morning. Board members, do you have any questions for Mr. Ward? And Mr. Ward, if you have a statement of support, you're more than welcome to go ahead and state that. We can hear you, Mr. Ward. Go ahead. If you have a statement, you can go ahead.
Ward, I'm James Ray Jackson. I've been in jail since we were.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. I don't mean to interrupt you, Mr. Ward, but we're having a hard time hearing you. You're breaking up a little bit. I'm not sure if you have a better connection and a different. Was that Miss Lopez I saw with you?
We're gonna try to do it on the phone. I'll mute here, and at least we can have the.
Yeah, if we can try to maybe hide the video, maybe just the audio would work. In the meantime, are there any questions for the two DOC reps who are currently on for Mr. Jackson?
I don't have any questions.
I have no questions.
I have no questions. No questions. Thank you.
No questions.
Great, thank you. Ms. Lopez, are you able to have Mr. Ward speak now?
We're working on it. Can I?
It's really slowed down when you're speaking. I'm not sure.
We're
Ms.
gonna
Lopez?
try to get that.
I was going to suggest if you want to just actually call me, we can put you on speakerphone through the microphone and he can speak that way. Okay, we have Mr. Ward on the phone. Mr. Ward, you can go ahead.
Okay, Trustee, I so appreciate all you're trying to do to juggle everything. Can you just identify who this is speaking? I want to make sure I know who we're listening to.
My name is Robert Ward. I'm a lifetime friend of James Ray Jackson, and I have been walking with him through this whole situation for the last 50 plus years. I have seen the complete change in him, and I'm here to support him and all that he does, you know, in his release, in the event that he is released, and with the support of Drexel and all the other friends that he's involved with, we're here to do all that we can. And I'm a member of I'm a Mason and a Shriner. I'm also a member of Sharon Baptist Church. I am going to do everything in my power to see to it that James walk upright and straight. So I just don't see any difficulties at all. I have seen a changed man. When that happened, I had seen a boy. He's a changed man now.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Any questions for Mr. Ward from the board?
No, thank you.
Great. So the next session starts at 11:45. So if we can just break until 11:45 and we can go ahead and get Mr. Rosenthal and his representatives in.